Welcome to episode 67 of the Principal PLN podcast. Today, you are stuck with just Jessica and I. Jessica, what's happening?
Not much. I'm up on a Saturday morning. I'm not looking ready for a show, so I hope that this is just listened to.
You know what? You sound amazing, though.
You're too nice. Too nice.
What's
up with you?
Well, what I was going to say is Teresa's not here today, and we really wanted to talk with her because I wanted to find out how her half marathon went. So we're going to have to wait till next time.
Yeah.
Super cool.
We're in a running Voxer group, so she did good, and she's signed up for another one in a month already.
Oh, stop it!
Insane. Yeah, we're doing. So those of us in that running Voxer group, we're doing a virtual 10K this weekend. So we're like all over across the country, but we're each going to run our own 10K and then post our times.
When is that?
This weekend.
Just
so like
anytime.
One person already did hers today, and then I'm doing mine tomorrow, and yeah. So we don't need to go to an actual place. We can just do it virtually on Voxer. Thank you, Voxer.
Yeah, but it's a little bit cooler when you have like the name tag. And
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the whole group of people. Yeah, no, yeah, that's
and the bananas and stuff like that afterwards.
In Wisconsin, they don't have. Well, I guess they do have bananas afterwards. They have other things that start with B as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool. That's awesome. So let me ask you this, Jess. We're talking a little bit about our book, and a lot of people have questions, like what kind of brought all this on, talking about isolation, because they go through it. And today's topic, I think we had discussed, was out of isolation into the groove. So I think we should spend some time talking a little bit about isolation, and then maybe how we got our groove back.
Yeah.
All right. So tell us about isolation. What is that like?
Oh gosh. Which way could you take this? Like, is it just, I don't know. I just think of being the only person in this position in your building, or even for me in my district, there's no other elementary principal. It's just me. And so many things that go on in your day, and you'd like to talk through with somebody, but you can't because of the confidential nature of things. So you're isolated that way. Or I could talk about isolation being completely rural and having nobody else nearby us. Or, gosh, you can just go in any direction with isolation.
Yeah, I think it struck a chord with a lot of people just because they go through exactly what we talk about. Like, for instance, you get isolated because you may, like, if your position, just being a leader, and then you also get isolated from people who are in close proximity to you, because a lot of people nowadays are starting to have these really rich connections through social media. So they become very connected on social media, but yet isolated in their day-to-day world. And I think that's the most fascinating thing. How can you be connected and isolated at the same time?
Yeah, because, participating in a Twitter chat one night or having this great Voxer conversation going, and your mind is spinning with ideas and you want to share them. And then you're like some crazy person at work that like won't stop talking about the Kool-Aid they're drinking, and people look at you like you have two heads.
I think that's one of the things that causes the most isolation from people who are connected at their day-to-day work, just because I think we've talked about this many times, and a lot of people go through this, is that then you start getting all these comments like, okay, so you're the Twitter guy, you're the Twitter girl, do you do anything besides being on Twitter? And really those comments, even if they're a little bit in jest, they start to wear on you after a while.
Yeah. And I'm going to be honest, I don't really talk about Twitter anymore at school. Actually, I'm really not even on Twitter much at all anymore, except for scheduled chats, checking my notifications. I spend so much time on Voxer now. I really do.
Yeah. Well, why are you spending less, or why do you feel like you're spending less time on Twitter, or is it just different?
I think it's just different. It's more, I used to check my timeline, what's going on Twitter. And now when I go in, it's, to check the EduCoach hashtag or to check the PrincipalPLN hashtag, or, if there's a conference going on, it's more strategic, I guess, versus, just random checking my feed. And then there's there's so many conversations that happen on Voxer, but I don't think you can have Twitter, or you can have Voxer without Twitter, because you get the connections from Twitter and then create your groups on Voxer that you might want to be in.
Right. But when you first got into Twitter, was it like that was it and it just dominated everything for you?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm not saying anything bad about Twitter. I'm not leaving Twitter. I'm not I still love Twitter. It's I guess isn't taking as much of my time right now as it used to.
So do you feel like you went through a stage where you were overly connected? Like on too much?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think about that too, because I think like for me, it's always like an ebb and flow to it. And when you have these high levels of connection, I feel like that's when I became more isolated from the people that I work with or whoever, and that's tough.
Yeah.
Because you're so excited about all these cool things that are going on, and then you want to keep sharing them. So I agree. I'm more like you right now, where I don't really talk much about it. At work, I try to just keep modeling, the different things, like using our school hashtag or district hashtag, but just not so much all about that. But unlike you, can't do Voxer all the time either. I have an ebb and flow with that.
Gosh, no. Like if I look at my Voxer feed right now, there are some groups that have so many notifications. Like there's one I'm in that has 292 notifications. Like really, I'm not even sure why I'm still in it right now. But I do better with the smaller groups in Voxer, where there's like 6 people and you can keep up the conversation versus that 282 one, I'm ashamed to admit, that's the PrincipalPLN Voxer group. Yeah. I'm sorry to all of our listeners, but there's just so much awesomeness in that every day that I can't even keep up. Yeah, it is like hard. Twitter though. You can jump in and you can, join the conversation where it's at.
Yeah. Well, I think when you look at your connections and not being connected and trying to balance, I think that's what led us to write the book. But actually, I think as we started writing the book, we focused more on how do we do this work-life balance and get back into the groove. And that's because I don't know, sometimes it's a bummer talking about isolation. Not a lot of people want to talk about it, and then you kind of talk about it for a little bit and it's like, okay, well, let's move on. I think that's kind of how we feel. Like you own it, and it is what it is. And you could read all the stuff in the book about, the research that we did and, the people that we talked to. Everyone seems to be going through the same thing, but more importantly, what are you going to do with it? And I think since we got that thing finished, I don't know, I'm totally different now. I'm totally different.
You're totally different. Tell me more about that.
Well, I lost 40 pounds.
Yay! Where's the pause button in here? I'm not ready.
It's in there somewhere. Sorry. Oh, I thought we were going to.
Well, I'm not prepared. I'll just.
Not prepared. Teresa could put that in the post when she does.
Oh, we're lying. We don't edit this thing.
Not at all. And I've changed the way I eat. I've changed my my downtime and how I spend time with my family, and that's all been, I would say, in 2015. Like as soon as it started, I was like, I can't keep up doing what I was doing before.
And what's really funny is that was not at all what our book was about, but that's what came from it, where we ended up, how did we get into mindfulness? And there's I think it was recommended by the editor.
Yeah, we had sent in a manuscript, and then the editor, Ariel, said, I hear a lot of these themes in here about mindfulness. And so we said,
and we didn't. Sure. That was not our intent at all. We were not being mindful.
Not at all. We were the opposite of mindful. So then, she sent us the mindful school leader, and then we hooked up with Val and Kirsten. We did a podcast with them. We talked, with them, and then we added stuff in the book. And we all started trying something different, meditation, running, working out, spending time, away from work on things that have nothing to do with blogging, writing, tweeting, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's not necessarily mindfulness either.
No, that's just
work-life balance.
Yeah, evolving. And it is hard for principals. I'm actually in a Voxer group that is, I think it's actually called Work-Life Balance. And it's a topic that principals or, even teachers struggle with because of how much work we have to do. And principals, we're always on duty. I mean, no matter when it is, the phone can ring, the emails come in. Yeah, it's a constant struggle, and you have to figure out how to make it work, but yet you still want to be connected, on Twitter and Voxer in ways that can help you continue to grow, but not connected so much that you can't have a life.
Exactly. So what have you come up with? Like, what's your balance right now or over the last couple months?
I am trying very hard to not bring home a big bag of work every night, and not on the weekends. Now, I said trying. What is actually happening is I am bringing home my laptop. I usually do check my email once a night. I don't have it on my phone anymore. That was the best thing ever. Thank you, Kurt Reese.
Kurt Reese, yeah.
Kurt Reese, you're the man. It's not on my phone, so it's not constantly coming in. I will check it one time. I may have like one thing, one piece of work that, I have to get this done before the morning. But I'm focusing more on family time at night or, going for a run, reading a book for pleasure, not, for professional reading. And then on the weekends, only working for a chunk of time on Sundays. So enjoy my Friday night, enjoy my Saturday. Actually, last weekend we went camping. Like, I got out of Dodge. We went camping. And I can say I got out of Dodge because I live in Dodge County.
I was just going to say you got out of Dodge land.
Yeah, and Dodge land. Yeah. So I like to use the phrase got out of Dodge.
Yeah.
But I still really try to do the Miracle Morning, which we talked about a long time ago. And I'm sorry for people who were excited about that. We never got Hal Elrod on here about that.
We didn't, no.
But I still really try to do my version of a Miracle Morning where it's my time for my personal professional growth, and it might be running, it might be professional reading, my time for writing, so that I'm working on my own personal goals before I get cannon shot into the day of work.
Yeah.
One thing. Okay, so this was a Voxer conversation you and Teresa and I had that I'll reshare here, is that I stink at Fridays. Like, when it comes to being productive or efficient on Fridays, I have always been awful at Fridays, and I could blame it on, discipline on Fridays or whatever. But
Right.
Subconsciously, I think that I always am thinking, well, I have the weekend, so I can just pile this up and, do that later and let it go. And I'm more random on Fridays. And Teresa gave the tip, do not think of the weekend. Think of Monday as tomorrow and look at what do you have on Monday and what do you need for tomorrow, not the weekend. What do you need for tomorrow, Monday? And focus on that. And that was like the perfect little mental tip for me to be ready and to be more efficient.
I thought of you yesterday. So I'm standing at my stand-up desk because that's one of the other things that I've changed. Anytime that I'm checking my email or doing work in my office, I use a stand-up desk now. So I'm forcing myself to not sit down. And I pull up the Bacon Weekly because I'm like, yeah, there's no reason why I can't get this done today, because I always wait to do it on Saturday morning or Sunday morning. And I got it started, and then I couldn't. Mm-hmm. I couldn't. And then, of course, this, that, and the other thing happened. But it was definitely in my mind
Mm-hmm.
of what you guys had said and how to really carve that time out and do it on Friday. Because you're right. There's no reason why we shouldn't be able to spend half an hour or 45 minutes doing a school blog or doing a Friday Focus, as opposed to honestly doing that on our own time over the weekend when our family needs us.
Yeah. Yeah. And can I just put a plug in here for anybody listening? We will be having a survey sometime in the future, like to get feedback from other principals on what is, what things do you struggle with for work-life balance and getting a life?
You know what one of my theories is going into this, Jess, that there's a big part of the principal or administrative population that has not chosen to take connection to the next level because of the work-life balance.
Oh yeah, I bet you're right on that. And I don't know if we'll get the oh, good morning. Sorry, my son just woke up.
That's all right.
I don't know if we would get their voice in it though, because they might not be connected to to participate in that. Look, I'm podcasting. Yeah. Okay, sorry about that.
That's all right. No, you're right. And I think we have to go through some different channels for that. But that's my theory, that because, and maybe they know themselves well enough. I don't know, I'm making a lot of assumptions here, but it's, hey, I know myself, I'm going to jump into this, 1,000%. And I don't want to do that. I want to be able to be good at my job or great at my job. And then, when 4 o'clock comes or when Friday afternoon comes, I'm done.
Well, and the other piece too is how many principals leave their position because they burn out from their job?
I just read something the other day, especially when you're dealing with principals in low socioeconomic areas. I think that the turnaround or the turnover is 2 or 3 years, and most don't last past 5. So, right there, you're talking about, a high turnover.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's, I think it's from burnout, dogs growling, that kind of stuff.
I know, my dog just my house just blew up all of a sudden. It was nice and peaceful and calm.
Sounds like a beluga whale is there in the background.
It's my dog. Do you know what, Spike? We almost got another dog last week.
Oh my God. Packer is not enough?
No, I know, right? He's like Marley. Yeah, no, we were not thinking as a family. But, puppies just, they're just so darn cute. And you just don't think. But
they are. And, I've been such a dog person my whole life. And I think the older I get, I'm like, I'm not as much of a dog person as I thought, because I feel like I just need time. And then sometimes that dog is that last being that wants some attention. I don't have enough.
This is the picture of what you're talking about right now. Seriously, my dog is just a beast. Get out of here.
You have to watch this video. This is bad. This is the best.
Yeah, the video is good for my dog, not for my face right now. I have, woke up bedhead.
And your son.
So, yes. So we've been very serious on this podcast. That's not normal.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, we didn't think we were gonna be very serious.
No. Sorry.
No, we didn't think we were gonna be very serious, but total randomness takes over, and sometimes it's like serious randomness. So. All right, Jess had the
okay, sorry. I have to go to somewhere else in my house.
All right, she's relocating as we speak right now. So what is one weird random thing that happened to you this week?
Oh, you know what? We had homecoming week, which most people wouldn't think that elementary does homecoming. But being in a small district where we're all K-12 under one roof, we do homecoming at the elementary. So we had a dress-up day every day, and I brought the 80s back.
I saw that.
Yeah. So that was fun. I had to tweet you and Teresa and Amy Fadegi. We actually, so as much as I tried to be productive on Friday, we had a pep rally in the afternoon yesterday on Friday. And then we had an early dismissal because then we get ready for the parade and our town shuts down for a homecoming parade. And then I just have to share, it was so exciting. This is my 8th year. I don't think we've ever won a homecoming game. And our football team is doing awesome right now. We won 42-0. It was so cool.
That's the other thing. I saw that picture, I guess it was last night on Facebook.
And then I have to give major kudos to our band director. She's been building her program over the past 4 years, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And when I first came, the band was like small and just not very good. She has been building them up, and they did a halftime show for the first time ever. And it was just like, oh, I had, chills up and down my spine of pride of how awesome it was. It was a great moment here for us.
That's awesome. It is kind of random to have elementary school students in homecoming, but it kind of makes sense because then it's like something that they could look for, and it's community building.
Yeah, in a small community, it's a big deal. Yeah. How about you?
Well, I discovered Wine About It Wednesday.
Can we really talk about that on this show?
Well, I can, because I think it is so absolutely hilarious and so random, and
yes, because we need humor to make it in this. So
and I love humor. So when anyone is good at it, and especially better than I am, which is 99% of the people out there, I was dying. So I love, and that's the thing, love laughing, and I probably appreciate that much more than any meditation or anything like that. I think laughing is the best.
So we're not going to share a link for that in the show notes because it's not professionally appropriate.
No, it's not.
Just go to YouTube and look for Wine About It Wednesday. You will find it. And if you were like anybody else, I know it would become your newest addiction, and you will look forward to Wednesdays like you wouldn't believe.
And then what we tried to do on Voxer was just kind of like recreate that, and it's
principal version.
The principal version, and it is so funny. I just the way the things that we have to deal with and that come along are sometimes so random that just mentioning them makes everyone laugh. It's really funny. So that was actually a random thing that I stumbled on, and now that I love. It's different. I'm playing fantasy football this year.
Oh, you know what? My family, we really wanted to get in that. We just didn't even know where to start.
Oh, it's you can get an app and it tracks all the stuff for you. And it's funny you mention it because my son and I are in it, and my brother-in-law, so his uncle, we're all in the same league. And it's funny, like we spend a lot of time, talking about fantasy football and all that kind of stuff. So that's been really cool, especially for my son and I.
You know why that's random, but I think that random stuff is so important for you to have interests outside of life, because I think for so many, outside of work, for so many years in this position, I literally had nothing outside of work, and I was just obsessed with work, and you need to have other things to get excited. Or maybe I'm just pathetic and I don't know.
No, I mean, I worry about some people. I look at their Twitter activity or their Voxer activity and Facebook activity. I do worry because I know where they are. I know what they're probably trying to do, and get the most out of it, and get to either their next level or become better. And it's something that you chase, and you have to be able to wrestle with that. And like, okay, so what is your balance? And when can you shut things off? So.
Yeah.
But everyone has to come to that in their own, sort of way.
And you can still have a life outside of school and still be passionate about your job, still keep learning and growing professionally and being good at what you do. You can do both.
Yeah, because you also don't want to start spreading yourself too thin, where then you're not good enough you're not good enough for anybody, because you're trying to be good for everybody. And I think I know that we fall into that, just even in the day-to-day operations of our school. Like I don't have a VP. I'm just, trying to do the best I can to, put out fires, do my walkthroughs, do my observations, manage the building, talk with parents, talk with kids, talk with teachers, fill out the reports, all that kind of stuff. And it really is, it's difficult, to balance it all.
I was at a network meeting the other day, and one other administrator asked me, she said, "How do you get it all done?" And I laughed. I said, "I don't get it all done. I just decide what has to be done now. Who can be disappointed that their part isn't done yet from my end, or you know what I mean? Like, you just have to prioritize and make choices. It's never all done. Oh my gosh, never."
Yeah, and you have to be able to say no. You know, there's times
Mhm.
where you have to start saying no, and I definitely do that a lot now, a lot more often than I did before. And I also think that you know, if you want something done, you know, you got to ask a busy person. There's people who are a gazillion times busier than we are and probably have a
Oh,
better work-life balance, you know, and they get stuff done all the time. So,
so I'll confess that where I practice saying no is Spike, you had forwarded me an email to get involved in being a judge for something outside of school. And
oh, that's right.
I was like, oh, that looks so cool. And I was like, you know what? I don't know how much time it's going to take. I'm going to pass on this one.
Yep. Yeah, I hear you. I am going to try that just because it reminded me I had an opportunity this summer to do some, I guess, reviews for a conference, and that was a really good experience because I'm used to, you know, writing proposals and putting things in for conferences. But then to be on the other side of it was pretty neat. So that's why I just wanted to see this angle, you know. But yeah, I want to be involved in things that are going to take a lot of time, and I don't feel like I'm going to get benefit and it help out with my passion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Well, we've been
All right.
at this for random for 25 minutes, and I think we did okay. We'll see what our
Yeah.
listeners think. But
Well, if you have any questions, tweet us at PrincipalPLN. Follow the hashtag PrincipalPLN. Teresa, we miss you. We will see you next time. And Jess, what do you have to say?
Principal PLN out.